It began like any normal winter night. Dinner tables were still warm, fireplaces were still burning, doors were left open, but by sunrise, an entire village had vanished. Not one person remained. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no warning, just silence. This is the mystery of the vanished village of Angikuni Lake. The year was 1930. Deep in the frozen wilderness near the Arctic Circle stood a small Inuit settlement. Around 1,200 people lived there. Families, hunters, children. They had survived brutal winters for generations. They knew the land. They knew the cold. They were not people who simply disappear. One evening, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle arrived at the village. He had visited before. The villagers knew him, but this time, something felt wrong. There were no voices, no laughter, no dogs barking, no smoke rising into the sky. Only wind, cold, empty wind. Joe stepped into the first hut. The fire was still warm. A pot of stew sat frozen on the table. Clothes were inside. Rifles were hanging on the wall. It looked as if everyone had stood up and walked away at the exact same moment. He checked another house and another, all the same. Food untouched, tools in place, personal belongings still there. No one in the Arctic leaves without supplies. Leaving without food means death. Yet the entire village was gone. Outside, he made an even stranger discovery. The sled dogs, 7 of them, still tied to their posts, dead from starvation. If the villagers had left, why abandon their lifeline? Why leave the animals that ensured survival? Nothing made sense. Joe searched the snow. There were no footprints, no tracks leading away from the village, no signs of a fight. The snow was smooth, undisturbed, as if no one had walked there for days. It was as if the village had simply vanished. Terrified, Joe reported the incident to authorities. Investigators arrived days later. They searched the land, they searched the frozen lake, they searched the surrounding forest. They found nothing. No bodies, no camps, no evidence of migration. Then came the most disturbing detail. The graves in the village cemetery had been opened, and they were empty. Who opened them? Why? No answers were ever found. Newspapers across the country exploded with theories. Mass migration, kidnapping, wild animals. But none of it explained how 1,200 people could disappear silently, in freezing temperatures, without leaving a single trace. Some locals spoke of strange blue lights seen in the sky that night, lights hovering above the lake. Others whispered about spirits, ancient forces, or something watching from the mountains. But no explanation was ever proven. No survivors ever returned. No remains were discovered, and the land around Angikuni Lake remains quiet to this day, empty, still, untouched, as if the village never existed at all. So if you ever walk through snow, and everything feels too silent, too still, remember this story, because sometimes history doesn't lose people. Sometimes it takes them. RelicRoom, where history hides its secrets.